Well, try it again. Good morning, everybody. I know it's early. You're all probably getting ready for your kids ready for school. Or you're getting ready for work. This is an unannounced live feed on Facebook. But woke up reading some stuff on Facebook, and I get tired of reading, and I thought I would try to bring some light on some stuff. So many of you know me. You know what I do. You know my calling in life. You know my past. Some of you don't. So I'll tell you, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual, physical, emotional, and spiritual abuse. I was abused for a period of 5 years from the age of 12 to 17. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse from my stepfather. Hey, Tammy. And all the abuse except sexual abuse by my mother, although by definition of the law, she was just as guilty as my stepfather. For 38 years, I carried around a ton of resentment, anger, and hate towards them and any other pedophile that I ran across or heard about or anything. They should all die. We should kill them all. They're worthless. They're stupid. They're idiots. They're evil, and they're wicked. And truth be told, for 38 years, I plotted my stepfather's assassination on a daily basis. The problem with all that is that the only one that was hurting was me, because the resentment and the anger was just eating my soul alive. I turned to drugs. That hate turned not only towards pedophiles, but towards other people in my life. So I had to do something about it. And I never thought I would get over it. Now, why am I writing this post this morning? Because there's another post I was involved in last night, and a couple different things. Most people that post about perpetrators, all they want to do is see them brutally murdered and put in prison. I understand that, and so do I. I have made comments before about how about we pray that the pedophiles and the perpetrators and the molesters get the same healings that we want for ourselves. And then that brings up the subject of God, which people go, if there's a God, a God that allows this kind of stuff to happen, I want nothing to do with it. Again, I certainly understand that, because I was in that same boat for 38 years because my stepfather and mother were born again Christians, abusing me. But what I never hear is any kind of a solution. The post I heard last night was, we never get over it. We can never ever get over it. Again, they need to be thrown in jail. They need to be murdered. There's just all sorts of negative problems. But where is the solution? Why are we not talking about the solution? The media doesn't help 1 ounce. Every time something happens in Hollywood or in the government, they throw around the abuse card like a trump card. And no pun intended in that whatsoever. And not that those people aren't abused, because you have to believe them until proven otherwise. But there's nothing but negative stuff surrounded by people being abused. And then to top that off, why aren't we talking about all the men that have been abused? So that I understand, because men they don't want to talk about it. Because if you knew I was sexually abused, you would think of me less than a man. So what's the solution? The solution is, well, first of all, let me back up. I will tell you this. You can get over it. You can get over it. And you can move on. The death words I used to hear all the time, Randy, you need to forgive, forget, and move on. Now, in the middle of where I was at, those are death words. Don't tell me I'll forgive it. Don't tell me to forgive. Don't tell me I got to move on. I don't want to hear none of that. But when I finally surrendered and said I can't live this way anymore, when I got sober and I started working with a therapist, and I dove in with all fours. I dove in deep into my recovery. I started seeing things from a different light. You know, not to make an excuse, but pedophiles were probably molested themselves. And they're just some of the unlucky ones that stayed stuck in that resentment and anger and bitterness And if it happened to me, then it's going to happen to other people. It's all right. It's just the way it is. And that's a wrong attitude to have. But it probably happened to them too. And not to say that's okay. But, you know, I'm going to bring up to God, because in order to move on, I had to come to a place of forgiveness. Now, Randy, you're going somewhere I don't want to go. Okay, that's fine. I didn't want to hear it either. And I wasn't told I had to forgive. I told I had to work towards forgiveness, which was a process. And I had to go through that process. It took me a year or two with my therapist. It took me doing a lot of writing, getting a lot of clarification about a lot of things, getting a lot of understanding. But the key to all of that is this: you have to remain open-minded. If you walk into any kind of treatment plan with a closed mind, and if you're walking around closed-minded as I did for 38 years, you'll never heal, and you won't get over it. And the only way to get over it is to work through it. When I work with people, I tell them this: we have to walk through your pain and your shame one more time, and maybe a couple times, because for years you repressed it. You stuffed it deep down in your psyche, and you just cover it up with anger, with resentment, with drugs, with alcohol, with overeating, with gambling, whatever you chose to cover it up with. But the problem is it never goes away. I haven't forgot what happened to me. What I have done is I have learned tools to move forward in my life, not to carry the resentment and the anger. And I keep learning tools. Do I get angry once in a while today? Yeah, but it's just for a brief second. And I'm not angry at the perpetrator anymore. I'm angry at what happened to me, at what I lost. I understand that perpetrators will hurt people too. Remember that hurt people hurt people. And it's not an excuse. I'm not giving anybody a green card to go past stop. I'm not doing that. They need to pay the consequences for their actions. It's not okay. They need to go to prison. They need to get help. And I don't know if help is out there for a lot of pedophiles. I've heard that it's not. I've heard some pedophiles say you can never change us. So they need to be in prison for the rest of their life. But that's what it takes. But even if you go into the Bible constantly says, if you want to be free, you just got to forgive. It's one of the, you just have to forgive. And here's the deal. Hey Bill, I was just recently on your radio show, but I'll do it again. Here's what I want to say. Just for today, not tomorrow, but just for today, forgive. Just for today. Because you're not promised tomorrow. You can't do nothing about what happened in the past. Nothing. It's done. It's over with. It happened. It's painful. It sucks. All of that. I understand that. But you can't change it. You can remain angry. You can remain resentful. And the only person you're hurting is yourself. Period. And I hope someday, if not right now, you will see that. It doesn't do no good to carry around the resentment and anger. Just for today, forgive. I carried around the hurt and the anger and the resentment for 38 years, and my perpetrator had no idea if I was even alive. I allowed myself to abuse myself worse than my perpetrator had ever abused me. They don't care. They're living a life. We've got to stop this hateful, these hate comments all the time. I understand it, but let's start working for a solution. Let's start hearing the solution rather than the problem and the hate. It doesn't do no good. And it doesn't do no good to co-sign people's hate. They need to hear the truth, as hard as it is. And I'll say it again, like I said the one time. I said one time, We need to pray that they get the healing that we want for ourselves. Nowhere in that comment did I say the word God. Nowhere. But yet, everybody dove right into the God card. If God allows that kind of stuff to happen, I want nothing to do with it. Neither did I. God gives man free will. And I could go on a whole nother thing with that, but I don't want to go off this right now. So do me a favor with this. Share it. Please make this go viral. All I hear is problem after problem after problem after problem after problem when it comes to sexual abuse. But yeah, we need to talk about the abuse. We need to talk about the abuse. There's no doubt that we need to do that. But we need more solution-based conversations, period. More solution-based conversations. So are you going to be part of the problem, or are you going to be part of the solution? And the other part, that one more thing I want to touch on, one more thing I want to touch on, is that we need to break the stigma of men being sexually abused. 1 in 3 girls, 1 in 4 boys, statistically, are sexually abused. And what I see out there with the people I talk to, what I've done in the last 10 years, I can pretty much tell you that I feel, theoretically, without hardcore statistics, which can be manipulated however you want to manipulate them, straight across the board, even men and women, period. A lot of men are sexually abused by women, but they don't want to admit it, because usually if you're sexually abused by women, you're being taught how to be a good lover, you get a high five from all your buddies, so on and so forth. But I've talked to a lot of men that have been sexually abused by women, and it's done a lot of damage. So thanks, Bill. Sorry, I got some thing coming up on my screen all the time. So, are you going to be part of the problem, or are you going to be part of the solution? Let's start talking love rather than hate and anger. Let's move forward with our lives. It takes a lot of work. I'm not going to lie to you. I was in therapy for 7 years, twice a week. All my AA work I did and continue to do, and the work that I still continue to do. Because the one thing it doesn't do is you'll never forget it, but you can get over it if you work through it. So one more time, you guys do me a favor, make this go viral, please. It's the only way that we can start getting to the solution part, is if people like me and others do start talking about the solution. And I'm going to try and do more of these posts. I woke up this morning and had a burning desire to do this. So I think that's all I really got to say this morning. Become part of the solution, not part of the problem. It happens. It happens to boys. It happens to girls. Okay, nobody is excluded from sexual abuse. Nobody. Okay? So remember, nobody tells you they love you today. I do, but more importantly, God does. You all be blessed. Have a wonderful day. And thanks for joining me. And one more time, please share this with everybody you can and make it go viral. Thank you. Bye.